Ēriks Ešenvalds, thank you so much for being here. For our patrons that are tuning in, they know you because I started counting up the number of pieces I've done by you, and I stopped counting it at 20. And that includes some bigger pieces, you know, Trinity Te Deum, the In Paradisum, the Sing unto the Lord, which I'm not going to try to say in your language. But I love your music. I know that makes me sound just like a geek, but I just want to lead with that because what a blessing you are to the world.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be helpful. You know, when we find our call in life, our profession, you know, then when we are happy and we go that path, we walk that path, and with all energy, with all tears and joy and emotional palettes, and of course also the professional methods and compositional techniques. And yeah, so I found my call in life at age 18, 19 only, when I started to study composition professionally. But before that, music was only a hobby.
Right.
So oh, I didn't know that you have performed so many works of mine.
I love your music. But to me, when I play a piece of yours, I feel how much you want to communicate to the audience. And that feels very natural, like all composers should feel that way, but they don't. You can tell. Sometimes they've got something, a way they like to say things, and they're not thinking about the audience. And I feel that you always are.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks God you are of those conductors who can see what's behind the sheet music. You know,
Right.
we composers, we cannot put all the information, what we have had in mind when we compose. We cannot put all the information on the paper. But if we start to put every detail, then the music starts to look silly.
Right.
So we just hope that the conductors and the performers will enjoy the music with rich emotional palette. Yeah.
I think so. I am right with you in the purpose of music is to create these strong emotions, and it's so powerful. And we're so fortunate. You said you found your calling. Both of us have been fortunate to be able to do what we do. You know, if we had lived 500 years ago, maybe we wouldn't get to do it. So many things, the stars in alignment.
Yeah, here we are. And we do what we do.
Well, and thank goodness, because it does make a difference. I especially now, ironically, when we're not doing it, I get so many emails from people saying, boy, I miss, from the singers, they miss singing and that creative experience, and audience members who say, I'm really grieving not to be able to hear live music.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that this virus crisis has stopped the whole world.
Yeah.
I could imagine it would be economical crisis or other crisis, but not a single virus. It's very strange, but step by step, day by day, week by week, we hope that the world will be healed and we come back to our daily rehearsals, our daily jobs, and yeah, our prayers and fingers crossed, everything for peace to come back to the world.
Your family as well?
Yes, thank you. We are well. I teach. In spring semester I I'm a professor at Music Academy. I teach my students. So since March, it was all on the remote teaching. Completely new experience to me and to my students. Our three oldest kids, they go to school, and they also stayed home for the last March, April, May. Yeah, remote teaching. We are well, and Latvia is just 2 million people, but and today yesterday we had 18 single new infected people. Day before that we had 3. So for the last 2 months we are dealing from 0 to 18. So kind of very low percentage of people get infected.
I teach here at Southern Oregon University, and we were all online spring term as well. And I don't know about you, but I've never worked so hard in my life. And I'm a hard worker, but it was there for me also. I'd never done an online class, and just I think everyone found it really hard. Was that your experience?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's very easy to sit with students in a classroom and to have conversation, a physical conversation on a spot. The things just would move fast
Right.
forward, while in remote teaching, a lot of writing, a lot of reading, the time just doubled or tripled. You
Yeah.
know, oh.
And that interaction and feeling, because you're a performer, you know we live off the feeling of the audience and the people around us, and you don't get that even if you make a time and say, does anyone have any questions? No one wants to say anything because it feels so artificial, where in the classroom they would just speak up.
Yeah, yeah. Extraordinary experience, new experience. But I think everyone is longing for meeting in classroom, meeting in rehearsals, and yeah. So let's hope that that day is coming.
So you started in music. I read playing around with music and writing little pop songs like Whitney Houston, was it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Whitney Houston was my first teacher. in remote style. I was 10 years old, and I every afternoon I went to children music school where I studied solfeggio. I sang in choir, and my main specialty was piano playing, and that was Soviet time. And Whitney Houston, we saw her on TV. We could buy her audio cassettes, but we couldn't buy her the sheet music of her beautiful songs. So since I was a very good piano player, I learned her songs to play on the piano just by ear. And then there was one evening choir class. So I was still age 10, and 5-minute break, and I was in a joyous mood, and I just grabbed my empty sheet music page, and I wrote some notes, and then instead of lyrics I wrote some la 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 la, and an older class singer, she saw what I had just sketched on my music paper, and she said, you show it to the conductor. And I did it, and the conductor played it. It didn't sound nice, but she said to me, Ēriks, maybe you should compose. You know, I had never thought about that. Compose. And, you know, and this all happens in 5 minutes, in the 5-minute break.
Wow.
And I, after the choir class, I went home that night, and I sat at my piano and I thought, how is it to compose? And I played Whitney Houston's songs, and I started to write something similar to her songs. First surprise was that her songs consisted of just 5-6 different chords, not more.
Sure.
It was just F, B flat, GM7, C, and that's all. Like so, it was quite easy. Okay, I started to write my own tunes using Whitney's songs chords, but changing their order. Yeah, and that was the very, very beginning how I started to compose.
That's a
Yeah.
great story. Well, something, and now your music doesn't sound like Whitney Houston, but you're not afraid of popular styles, and you love folk music, obviously, which I do too. I think today there's such a, and I'd love to see what you feel, but I think there's such a marriage between the pop and classical worlds. I hate those words because we're learning from one another, and the old school of, if people like your music, it's bad music, you know, that started with the Romantics, really. The avant-garde and trying to be weird, just, it feels like just to alienate people. And why I think today composers are not afraid to mix mediums. So how do you see it?
You see, I see myself as a painter. Whenever I want to paint a picture, a story, I I have my empty canvas and I'm standing by it, looking on it. But on my one hand, I have the brush, and on the other hand, I have the palette of all colors. So I really have all colors. None of them is missing. So according to the story, I will use several colors and paint the story. In other words, when I studied composition at Music Academy, I studied all techniques. So when I graduated as a professional composer who has all colors. And it's my freedom, or it's my choice to choose the colors according to commission or according to performer, be it children vocal ensemble or be it chamber orchestra for avant-garde crazy contemporary music festival. Yeah, you know, I'm ready to use those colors. I have also written some pieces with electronics, also atonal music. Yeah, I have those colors as well. And when my children, when they hear some examples of my crazy avant-garde music, they say, "Oh, Daddy, that's music for horror movies."
Well, that's the thing. And it's a good vocabulary for a certain emotion. But if you want a different emotion, then maybe you need a different palette. That's interesting you say colors, because your music is very colorful, like in the way that Debussy or jazz is colorful with dissonance as color rather than pain.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and also I teach my students at Music Academy. Students sometimes they tell me, "Well, I don't like dodecaphony, or I don't like romanticism." That's fine, but at least while you are a student, read about it, understand it, know about it, know the details, know the techniques, what's behind those particular styles, so you are prepared. Because a day might come when, you know, when you have a baby and you want to write a beautiful lullaby for your baby, but you haven't learned the secrets of romanticism. So what kind of lullaby will it be?
Right, right. Well, and plus it's just, I mean, I can't imagine my life without the Mahler symphonies. You know, it adds, I'm not going to write a Mahler symphony. I'm not going to conduct a Mahler symphony, but he's an important composer to me for what he did. And my life would be so much smaller if I didn't know the Mahler 9. First movement of Mahler 9 is my go-to if I just need a cathartic experience. Do you have pieces like that you go to when you're in trouble? I go to Bach as well. Bach and Mahler, that's sort of my go-to guys.
Yeah. You know, my last concert when I was still a singer and I sang with the state choir Latvia for 9 years. So my last concert with that choir was in Munich in Germany with Mahler 8th Symphony.
Ah,
You know, and that was State Choir Latvia, and that was Bavaria Radio Choir, Bavaria Radio Symphony Orchestra, and their fantastic conductor, Maris Jansons, who, by the way, was Latvian.
oh,
So, and that was my last concert with them. And when the ending of that symphony, the pianissimo moment, choir a cappella, oh, you know, I had tears. As a singer, I was zero there. I couldn't sing anything because I was so emotional. And you know, Mahler, his horizon is very wide. His horizon of his imagination, how he saw the world, how he saw the sky, huge horizon, and that's why his music is so. I could say that he was like a bird flying with largest wings in the highest orbits.